What is going on, everyone? Parsnip here, and today we're back with another episode of the Let's Build playthrough. So as you guys can tell from the previous episode, we have been progressing at quite a good pace, at least I like to think so. So the base is actually ended up being a lot bigger than what I originally expected it to be. Here you can go ahead and see that we're continuing to finish up the music box room, which we actually finally finished on this episode, and my god, did this music box room take so long to finish. So I'm super happy we're actually pretty much done with that. I ended up fitting every single music box in the game in there, and I have room for more if needed. So following up, we're gonna go ahead and make a back wall tower pretty much. So you're probably wondering what this means, and this means I'm gonna make a tower that has no real purpose. It's just gonna be made pretty much out of walls or unactivated blocks, and it serves merely as aesthetics. So it might look cool, but it'll have absolutely no real purpose. So you can see here I decided to make this on right in front and behind the first tower to the entrance, as I felt that the first tower ended up being way too small compared to the size of the main base. This way it'll give more depth into the base, as well as making it look a bit more unique and having a more, how do I say this, a bigger base at the front, pretty much, a more solid structure, so that it looks more natural the size of our current base, as it's only going to get higher and bigger from here on. So I decided to pretty much imitate the tower that's on the front. Now it is a little bit different, as I am using walls and I didn't want it to be exactly the same, so I do end up being inspired by that tower. However, I do end up changing a bit, and as you can tell, I do use pretty much the same types of wall that I've been using so far. So as you can see here, I go ahead and use stone slabs, gray bricks, copper, and wood walls. I also go ahead and use some activated blocks, or not activated, but normal blocks that are not activated with actuators, in case you do want to add a little bit more of details. That's how you pretty much do it. You go ahead and add walls. Now walls are pretty poor to work with just to draw, so that's why I only use these pretty much for things that are going to be in the background. As you can tell, the tower in the back is pretty much shaping up and it looks pretty good. Now here I do decide to actually use real blocks that are activated to give more details towards the tower. It actually ended up looking, now that I'm looking here right at it, it looks a little bit like a wizard hat. And I do decide to put a little bit of solid blocks over there at the edge as well, just so I could go ahead and put lanterns later on. You know, you always want to keep the place lit up. I add some windows, a little bit more details here and there. You know, I want it to look as nice as I possibly can, even if it is just a background and serves no purpose, as this will be my main base from here on out. Hopefully this world takes forever to finish. If it doesn't, we'll go ahead and make an even better one next time. So like I said before, I go ahead and use these to put the lanterns, and that's pretty much it for the tower. I do decide, however, that I want another bridge, and I do end up messing around with this a little bit, as I don't like it too much the way it was, but at the end result, I'm pretty happy with how it looks as an end result. Again, I end up using normal blocks here because walls don't work. I just unactivate the blocks. So I think this looks pretty cool as a background bridge. It fits the theme, like the one in the front also has that same bridge, not the same bridge, but a similar bridge. This one is for the other tower pretty much, you know. So now it looks, not only does it look 2D, it looks like it has something in the back. Now this is the part that I was talking about where I'll be messing around a bit. I end up not liking this and just leaving it as it is. So honestly, I could have cut it out, but I did want you guys to see the process of how I build, as I don't really plan things out, I just go with the flow. A lot of people ask me like how I end up making this look like that, and it's just random. I build and I go along and I think, wow, I think this block looks good here, so I end up doing pretty much just that. Here to the side, I decide that I want to put something else. I do know that a new patch will be coming soon, the 1.3.5 if I'm not mistaken, and I do know that there will be new crystal furniture, as they have released a little preview I'll go ahead and put this in the background here just so you guys can see. And so I decided I'm going to go ahead and put an area. Now, I want this area below because mobs can still spawn below those little shadow or wraiths or whatever they're called and go up and attack the NPC rooms, as the NPC rooms are right above. So I do decide to remove a huge chunk of sand and dirt and whatever was down there to go ahead and make these little crystal caves. Not little, it's actually pretty big. I will be refining this later on as soon as the patch comes out, as we have more furnitures and stuff like that. I will be making waterfalls and stuff like that. Now I do mess around here, except the walls ended up being way just completely cluttered and too confusing. You couldn't tell what was a wall and what was a solid block, so I ended up changing that to just iridescent blocks, if I'm not mistaken. That's what these are called. And I will be refining this cave later on. As soon as I get the furniture, I will be making some rooms and stuff like that. This is pretty much going to be for that. A miniature cave with those types of blocks and a really colorful theme. In the bottom, pretty much some mobs won't spawn. Now, I will be honest, I'm not sure how I like it so far. I might end up making like a square box and just leaving that in there so it looks like it's completely made on purpose and fits the build still. Or maybe I just end up making this all gray. However, if I do make it all gray, it won't really fit the new set. And this is pretty much why I'm building these caves. So the cave is actually big. I didn't want it to be this big. I wanted it to be small. However, as I was building, it just kept going up and up. And yeah, that's pretty much what I was left with. Now there's not really much to say about this. I go ahead and add some details, some crystals on the background. I go ahead and just activate some blocks so it could be pretty much a hidden section of the base. I go ahead and put iridescent blocks outside of the colorful area so that it blends in a little bit more and there's not just like bam, a bunch of bright and colorful blocks and all of a sudden sand. To the left, I will be fixing that in just a bit, if I'm not mistaken. And then I go ahead and decide that I'm going to continue prolonging the rooms like I said in the previous episode. As soon as I keep making the house towards the right, I will be adding more and more NPC rooms until I have all of the NPC rooms. This whole bottom section here is just going to be the NPC room section, which also serves as a highlight for different furniture. Now I did make this little base part for the NPC so I can make the entrance to the cave. This is how you're going to be going in and out of the cave. This is safe for the NPCs. They actually don't go down here, which is pretty good for me personally, because I do want them to stay in their room area. And this is what I was talking about before, that I do end up removing that sand and putting iridescent blocks just so again it blends in a lot more. It looks a little bit better. And this is pretty much where I'm at with the crystal caves. That again, I will be working more on this, guys. Do not worry, it won't be left like this. I know it's still a bit confusing and random, it's like out of place, but we will be working on that a little bit once 1.3.5 come out and we have the crystal furniture set. So I go ahead and continue the rooms. I'm gonna go ahead and put furnitures, as always, different types of furnitures, like how I did with the trophy rooms and things like that. And then I go ahead and decide to, because I almost forgot and I didn't want to forget, I just ignored the rooms for a bit and go ahead and fix the walls. As basic mobs can spawn there on the garden area, I did put doors in with actuators on them. So if you walk by, you won't even notice the doors are there. However, there are doors with actuators that open and close by only players. So NPCs or anything like that cannot go in. That includes monsters and stuff like that. So they're pretty much safe, solid wall, that nice area. And yeah, so I go ahead up back to the top. I want to get rid, as always, of more stuff. Slow and steady is how we've been doing it so far. For this episode, we actually make a ton of progress. This was actually the longest episode I've recorded, but since most of it was on that crystal cave, I did want to add more, so I felt like it didn't seem like I recorded 2 hours. It was actually a ton of fun this episode, as I was making just completely different and random themes. But here is going to be pretty much the end of the banner room. It has almost all banners. I still got to add a couple more. There's also the decorative banners that I'm not sure if that really counts towards the banner go. However, I might make another section for that area. So here I want the last bit to be a little bit different. It has room to add more and more banners later on. If they do come out with more mobs in the next update and there are more banners, you still have room up here on the middle tower, which is going to go up pretty high. Maybe next episode or something along those lines. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this episode. We finished the music room, thank God. I know most of you don't actually like I have been prolonging that for the past 3 or 4 episodes. We finished the crystal caves, more NPC rooms, as well as the banner rooms. So as always, guys, thank you all for watching. If you have any more suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys next time.